In this presentation, me and Stian is going to talk about World War II. World War II. World War II was a global armed conflict that lasted from 1939 to 1945. The conflict involved most of the world nations, including all great powers, and two opposing military alliances. The Allies and the Axis power was formed. It was the most extensive war in history, with more than 100 million mobilized soldiers. In 1939, attacks German tanks and bombers Poland. So was the bloodiest war in history began. Like the First World War was a global war that was fought on the ground, in the air and at the sea. The war was a result of the Nazis under Adolf Hitler came to power in Germany. The Nazis wanted to erase the memory of the defeat in World War I, and the Germans do a master race. Within a year they had the help of fascist Italy made large parts of Europe, including Norway. Only the United Kingdom opposed. In 1941 Hitler invaded the Soviet Union. But the Soviets fought hard, and millions died. Japan, Germany and Italy formed an alliance called the Axis powers. When Japanese warplanes bombed the US naval base Pearl Harbor in Hawaii, the Americans came into the war, with the Soviet Union and Britain and other allies. In May 1945, they turned the Nazis in Europe. Japan surrendered in August. When the war ended, 45 million people were killed, and Europe lay in ruins. The two new superpowers, the Soviet Union and the United States, began to dominate world politics. Adolf Hitler, German Nazi politician and dictator, appointed Chancellor in 1933, head of state in years 1934 to 1945. He was born in Austria but immigrated to Germany in 1913. Hitler and his Nazi party started World War II and planned and carried out mass murder of European Jews and Gypsies. Adolf Hitler early years. Hitler was born in Braunau, Austria. His father, Alois Hitler, was a customs official. 18 years old, he went to Vienna, where he tried to get into the art academy. Hitler was not admitted as a student because he is on the basis of entrance examination was considered to be lacking talent. Probably became the basis for his anti-Thyssen, German nationalism, and contempt for democratic institutions subject during his stay in Vienna. In 1913 he settled in Munich and he participated in the Bavarian army in the First World War. Germany's defeat came as a shock to him. In 1919, Adolf Hitler returned to Munich, where he joined a group of former frontline soldiers who were politically active. He came in contact with
Deutsche Arbeiterpartei,
which in 1920 took the name
Nationalsozialistische Deutsche Arbeiterpartei,
also known as NSDAP. Hitler became in 1921 the leader of the party. Half military stormtroopers was organized, the swastika and greetings with outstretched arms came in use. At this time, Hitler had a circle of close associates, who would later come to play an integral role in the party. This was, among others, Rudolf Hess, Hermann Göring, Alfred Rosenberg, Julius Streicher and Ernst Röhm. Shortly before Soviet troops moved into the city center on 30 April 1945, he committed suicide with Eva Braun, who the day before he had married. Det ble litt fucka, så jeg ikke...
Winston Churchill. Sir Winston Churchill was a British politician who was the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom from 1940 to 1945 and again from 1951 to 1955. Widely regarded as one of the greatest wartime leaders of the 20th century. Churchill was also an officer in the British Army, a historian, a writer and an artist. He is the only British Prime Minister to have won the Nobel Prize in Literature and was the first person to be made an honorary citizen of the United States. When World War II broke out in 1939, Churchill was left with the government, this time as Secretary of the Navy. In this position he advocated a more dynamic warfare, was intensified blockade of Germany and believed that the British had to put obstacles in the way of speed through Norwegian territorial waters. 10th May 1940, he succeeded Neville Chamberlain as Prime Minister. His government was composed of representatives from the Conservatives, Liberals and Labour.
Sachsenhausen. Sachsenhausen was a Nazi concentration camp in Oranienburg. Germany used primarily for political prisoners from 1936 to the end of the Third Reich in May 1945. After World War II, when Oranienburg was in the Soviet occupation zone, the structure was used as an NKVD special camp until 1950. The remaining buildings and grounds are now open to the public as a museum. Sachsenhausen under the NSDAP. The camp was established in 1936. It was located 35 kilometers north of Berlin, which gave it a primary position among the German concentration camps. The administrative center of all concentration camps was located in Oranienburg, and Sachsenhausen became a training center for
Schutzwaffen
officers who would often be sent to oversee the other camps afterwards. On the front entrance gates to Sachsenhausen is the infamous slogan
Arbeit macht frei,
who is translated in English means work makes you free. About 200,000 people passed through Sachsenhausen between 1936 and 1945.